Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are joining. So welcome to the ASFI Science Seminar Series, 7th edition in the year 2023. This is an important time in our lifespan as an organization because starting from today and the rest of this year, the monthly seminar series will focus on the issues of funding, research funding, and grant as it concerns Africa and African scientists. This is one thing that has become a serious impediment to the progress of research in our continent, to the extent that researchers are using their meager salary to fund their research. That is not acceptable. But from all indication, they have no other option. So it means that this discussion we'll be having starting from today are important discussions. It affects you. I believe it affects everyone. It affects even the society, because without funding, research cannot be done. And if research is not done, the society will hardly grow. So welcome. And we would like to hear your voice as we go through this this program today and for the rest of the year. All right. So my name is Bright Wang. I'm the convener of this platform, and I have with me my co-convener, Dr. Eman Sob, and I will welcome her to say a few words. Eman, you're there. Please, if you have the opportunity, say a few words to the audience, then we'll start.
Thanks. Right. Hello, everyone. I am Iman Rashid, Professor of Chest Diseases at Al-Azhar University, Cairo, Egypt. I would like to welcome every one of you here in African Science Frontiers Initiative Science Seminar Series. This is a place where ASFI family meet and discuss challenges and opportunities for scientific research and science practice and career in Africa. We would like you to participate, communicate, know each other, and collaborate, and also discuss the challenges to find solutions. This is a meeting for ASFI family, and all members are welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Eman. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're here and we have to kickstart now. I will make a brief introduction of the platform and who we are, and then I will introduce our able panelists for this evening, and then the discussion will start. All right. The seminar series for this evening is called, or is titled, The Grant Delight: What It Is Like to Win a Grant. All right. I hope every one of us has had that feeling, but if not, we will hear it this evening. So this program is brought to you by the African Science Frontiers Initiatives, abbreviated as ASFI. ASFI is established on the premise that science and research have important roles to play in the development of any society. In fact, without science, without research, it is hardly the fact that any society will develop. Or even if it develops, it may not develop in the right trajectory. Because you need scientific research to provide the necessary evidence that is required to make the society develop, nurtured, and to progress. And this goes across every facet of our society. Food production, employment, mineral resources, and our life as a people. But across every indicator of development, our continent, Africa, lags behind. And that has been unfortunate because in the history of humanity, Africa was not where it is today. Africa was leading the world in almost every area of development. But how did the tide turn against us? Well, that is a discussion we cannot deal in one seminar like this. It's a heated debate. But regardless, there is still opportunity for us to improve and become better. And that is what we want to anchor as an organization. But before science, before research can make the expected contribution, scientists must have the capacity to do their work. Scientists must have the capacity. And where such capacity is lacking, then it's a pitiable situation. So that is why in Africa, it's clear that African scientists need support to build their capacity. And that is where ASFI comes in. And our overarching mandate is to provide this support. And so our vision is to raise the next generation of African scientists who have the right competencies to drive Africa's developmental and transformational agenda through innovative scientific research. So we want to support capacity development. We want to support career development. We want to support competence acquisition amongst African scientists. So our mission is to instill excellence through competence acquisition, capacity building, and career development. And by doing this, we want to contribute to Africa's science that tackles Africa's developmental challenges. For long, African scientists have comfortably, admirably assumed the back seat and handed over their mandate to the so-called politicians. Well, that is not where that mandate should be. The mandate should be in the hands of scientists, because we are the eyes, we are the legs, we are the hands of the society. Without what we do, it is impossible for the society to work and work properly. No wonder African societies depend wholly on the Western world. To the extent, a friend of mine told me not long ago, he said, do you know that some African mothers actually order baby foods from the US? Well, whether it is true or not, it's an indication that we are relying on those outside, even for the things that go into our mouths. All right, we want to achieve our goals through seminars like this, through workshops. One of those workshops we had last Friday, Dr. Miles Research Tips and Tricks, in which we open conversations, in which we give tips, in which we give advice in how you can do better in what you're doing today in your research and scientific career. We also have hands-on courses. Last Friday, we also finished one of those courses on making sense of data analysis. And that was a fantastic meeting, spending 8 hours. At least one of the days we spent 9 hours for the whole week working through issues of data. And that gave us opportunity to appreciate the intricacies of not just doing research, but making sense of the data we collect. We have other courses that we have been having. Some of them, at least 2, we will have in the remaining part of this year. Please stay tuned for that. We have mentoring program. We have research programs as well, in which we generate data to continue to lead discussions and conversations around the issues of science and research in Africa. We have the ASFI membership assembly. Members who have registered have the opportunity to engage in different programs. The ASFI membership is an annual membership, due-based membership. And in that membership, we have the General Assembly that constitutes President of the Assembly, various Vice Presidents, and we have junior and senior assemblies with their chairs and vice chairs. Things are happening there, various activities are happening there. We are delighted and excited with what is happening and the prospects we have going forward. If you have not joined them, I promise you, you are missing quite a lot. It is past half the year and the membership for this year ends in December. It's not too late to join because the membership fees is not heavy. You can join and also enjoy the benefits that are there during the second half of this year. The members receive very good discounts in what ASFI does, particularly in the course fees. They receive very good discounts. Some receive what we call full scholarship, that they pay nothing. Some have scholarship on top of the members' discounted fees. So there are benefits you get in being a member of ASFI. In the last 3 years since the organization was established, we have had I think now it is 13 5-day courses with over 7,100 applicants, and more than 1,500 have been trained from over 40 countries in the continent of Africa. This is a very delightful milestone we have achieved, and we hope that with your support, we are going to do more for our country. This year, we have been working around the theme, quality, productivity, impact in research. And all our conversations are centered around here. And that is why from January to June, we looked at the landscape of journal publishing in Africa. And we went across different fields of endeavor, different fields of research to understand what is happening in those fields regarding journal publishing. And that gave us quite a lot of insight and has really given us the motivation to move forward with our initial plan to establish ASFI Research Journal. That is in the pipeline and will be coming later on in the year with more information on how we have gone. We want to establish a multidisciplinary journal that will support what African scientists with excellence tied to what we are doing as a people, so that we can publish research that are of good quality and have journal publishing process that is efficient and effective. Then, as I mentioned earlier, from this month until December, we are looking at the issues of funding and granting research. We want to discuss all about this and gain insight in the issues and how we can make them better for ourselves. All right, so that brings me to the discussion for this evening. Before I go on, please, I will encourage you, we have the chat box. Please use that to introduce yourselves in the chat box. You never know, you may find someone who is of interest, who is in your area of research, and you can connect. So use the chat box. Tell us where you are coming from, or what you are doing, and so on and so forth. As you might have noticed, everyone is muted on entry, and that is to minimize background noise because this is being recorded. But as discussion is coming to an end, we will open the floor to allow you to make contribution. So give me the opportunity to introduce the panelists for this evening. All right, I have as the first person on the screen there is Dr. Kellen Kiambati. Dr. Kellen is an associate professor of strategic management, and she is also the director resource mobilization and international programs at Karatina University in Kenya. Dr. Kellen is a friend of the house. She has been instrumental in many of our programs, and we are happy to have her on board again this evening to contribute to this topic. Then following her, I have Dr. Grace Udoyen. She's a postdoctoral fellow at the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian University in Nigeria. She has also been a friend of the house, has been very active in several of ASFI programs. So we are also delighted to have her to contribute to this discussion this evening. And then I have Dr. Zacchaeus Oluwafemi Olaniyi. He is a lecturer at the Oyo State College of Agriculture and Technology, also in Nigeria. And then I have Dr. Amanda Odoye. She's a research fellow from the Center for Gender Research, Advocacy and Documentation, University of Cape Coast in Ghana. Dr. Odoye has been very active in our programs. She has been there since we started, and she has been very supportive. Finally, I have Dr. Uchechi Onyedekachi. She's a lecturer at the Biochemistry Department, Michael Opara, University of Agriculture, Omodike, all in Nigeria. Yes. Dr. Onyedikachi is also very actively involved in ASFI programs, and she's one of the vice presidents of the ASFI Members General Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is set, and we will be engaging in this discussion, and I hope you are excited as I am to be part of this discussion. So please join me in welcoming the panelists. Yes, my panelists, I hope you are all here. So if possible, I know that the network issues are not easy to deal with in many places, but if you can show your video, that will be fantastic as we move on. All right. Let me see. Amanda, you see? Okay, Amanda has rejoined again.
I'm here, Prof.
All right, great. Okay. So I will start as I have them on the screen. The first question I have for them is I want to like to know what their grant journey has been like, particularly the grant or the grants they have succeeded in. I would like to know, when was it? When was this? When did you receive this grant? From which organization? And for what purpose? Let me go to Dr. Kiambati first.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prof, for having me, and hello to everyone in the room. It's super exciting to come again and have a conversation with our AFSI family. So coming straight to your question, Prof, how my journey has been, I first would like to say that I started my research journey and career in 2014. I mean, full-time research and commitment. And when I started my research career, the first thing I did was to find mentors, because I was so sure I wanted to become a policy-informed researcher. So I secured myself mentors. And the first thing I did was to, first of all, sharpen a few areas of my research competencies and also grant writing competencies. So from 2014 to 2019, I kept on writing proposals, but just to shock you, from 2014 to 2019, none of those proposals that I wrote were funded. And what I did was I sat and wrote to all the funding agencies that I wrote to find out why and what mistakes I was making, because I had submitted more than 20 proposals and none of them had been funded. So I wrote to the funding agencies. Some of them responded, others did not respond because they told me it was not within their policy to let applicants to know why their proposals were not funded. But I took advantage of those that responded, and I picked the reasons for my failure as lessons to learn. And it is after that that I was able to identify my first training with AFSI. I did my training, and the first one that I took was grant writing. But the good news is that after those lessons and after my training since 2019, I have been able to secure 5 grants. And out of those 5 grants, all of them were regional grants that funded my research work across East Africa countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. So in short, that is how my journey has been. And do you want me to give the details, or we are coming to another round of questions?
Well, I think we can keep it from now so that we continue to whet their appetite. We'll come back to details of those. Let me go to Dr. Udoyen. Please, the same question goes to you. What has been your grant journey, and as it concerns the ones you have been successful with? When was it? From which organization? And then for what purpose has that been?
All right, thank you, Prof. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning from wherever your location. Before I attend to that question, I just want to say a very big thank you to Professor Bright for the initiative he had introduced to us in Nigeria. I want to say that the success story for me actually lies in the sense that I became a participant in the training organized by Professor Bright from 2019, 2020. And my first point of call here was the first training I had with him was on a reproducibility study. And Prof, if you remember on that fateful day, I was so confused about what reproducibility is all about. And I have to throw a question to you that fateful day. Can I apply this in the social science? Because everything that was discussed on that fateful day was just basically on the natural sciences. And so I was confused. But to a large extent, I had to look into what we were taught on that fateful day and trying to see how I can, key in what I learned, applying it in the social sciences. And this was my success story. Now, concerning the grant issue, I actually decided to define my career path shortly after I finished my PhD in 2018. Actually, in 2018, 2019, between 2018 and 2019, 2020, the COVID-19 set in. And as at this time, we're trying to see how we can develop ourselves. For me, I needed to develop myself in research, because one thing I know is to identify a problem and also try to solve it. And so the question I asked myself, how do I go about? Because there are so many things we cannot get in the university. Lecturers cannot give it all to us. And so what I did was to introduce myself into what I call capacity development in research. And based on this, I was actually able to get in contact with so many people, with so many organizations that introduces me into research. And one of this is the ASFI that I eventually jumped into, because I didn't even know how I got to meet this organization. And when I met, when I came in contact with this organization, I started joining the training, it was as if what I learned in the university was not enough for me. I was not actually learning anything. This platform was an eye-opener to me. After the reproducibility research, we had the grant writing research. And for those of you that were in that grant writing, it was a week-long program or something. And we were grouped into diverse groups. I think, if not mistaken, I was in this group 6. And in group 6, we were actually talking about, we pick a topic on a district child, taking the child out of the street, we wrote, and I think I was assigned a responsibility, which I did. I was in charge of writing the abstract and the theory of a change. Actually, I did not know what theory of change was, but I have to, beat myself and said, okay, let me ask and see how I can go about getting this thing done. And that I did. Honestly, shortly we had that training. There were so many things on the training that I have to pick. I'm sorry that because I needed to show this. I printed out the grants that we wrote on that group. And when this adverts came up, I have to bring out what I printed, what we learned, and I put it on my table. I was going line by line to see what we were taught and how I can go about it. And that was how I was able to develop the concept note at first sight. I did not find it very easy, but then working on grant is not an individual thing. What I did was, after developing my concept note, I have to send it to 2 or 3 people that helped me to go through. And they actually did a good work. Grace, do this, Grace, do that. I did. And then I was also able to follow the steps that Professor Bright gave to us, one after the other. I read through my concept note to see where I went wrong and where I did right. And so I make it. When I send my concept note, and after a month, I received a congratulatory message. I was so excited. I was so happy that me, first time of attending grant, oh, this is beautiful. And then they called for the full proposal. And when I sent for the full proposal, beloved, let me just tell you, writing for grant is not an individual thing. I was able to collaborate with so many people that actually put me through. I was able to go through the grant call to make sure that my topic aligned with the stated objective of the organization. I was able to look at the number of wordings they require. And I was able to make a good budget based on what we were taught. I mean, this was something that I could not just skip it than to say, God, you have done it. And I made up my mind that yearly I'll make sure that I have a grant. It is not also easy as a grantor. It wasn't easy in the field because my grant it was a 1-year grant, a research grant, though small. But along the line, I have challenges, and these challenges was what I met in the field with my research assistant. But to God be the glory, I was able to conquer those challenges.
Dr. Doyen, I wouldn't allow you to tell everything now, because then I will not have more questions to ask. So now I want to know, from which organization did you get this grant you received?
Okay, I got a grant from a Goodman Truth Institute in US.
Great. Okay, I will come back to you. Let me go to Dr. Olani to ask him the same question. Your grant journey and until you succeeded. When was it, and from which organization, and for what purpose?
Thank you, sir. I'm very grateful for the opportunity offered me through this platform. Well, without wasting much of our time, I want to appreciate our CEO, Professor Bright, for this privilege. I started my research activities as MSc student with my lecturer, because I could recall one of the courses I love most is research methodology. So 2009, some the lecturers that identified me and some of my colleagues, they started involving us in research activities, collecting data, analyzing data, so and so on. So I put in for my PhD program. We hope that I want to be a policy maker in my state. So in the course of my PhD program, my supervisor encouraged me that we need to look at what is going on in the country. So we developed the topic. So along the line, I came across this PhD proposal from Africa Economic Research Consortium, in which they are head office in Kenya. So I made extraction from my proposal that my professor has been pressing for me. So 2022, so I submitted 2021, 2022, I submitted the proposal. So I was so happy when I received that, well, the PhD grant, student grant has been granted unto me, and I should be expecting further information from there. So I was so happy that at least I'm moving in the journey step by step. And that is just the summary of the whole grant this way that I have achieved with the African Economic Research Consortium. And the last I must make mention of this. The ASFI also grant us just early this month, and me and my team, a kind of encouragement in this journey of grant writing, in which I was in group 4, and we were selected as a list for a token of grant with ASFI. This is another boost in this journey of research activity. Thank you, sir.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So I was saying that it is fantastic to hear ASFI being included as one of the guarantors that contributed to your research your grant excitement. So I go to Dr. Amanda Odoy to ask the same question. Tell us a bit about your grant journey, particularly the ones you have succeeded in. When was it, from which organization, and for what purpose?
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, and for the opportunity to be here. So my grant journey, I think, started in 2015 as a grad student. When I applied for a travel grant to attend a workshop in South Africa. I got it from the UK, but that was like 1,500. Since then, I think I never had any grant, and between 2015 and 2021, I had been trying to apply for grants for PhD studies, and it was a bit difficult. I never got into any of them. So when I attended the ASFI grant writing workshop in 2021, I think that was a turnaround in my grant writing activities, because then the things we learned there, the processes one has to go through, the skills and all that is required. So I would say that for me, the greatest turnaround in my grant writing journey has been after I attended that workshop to date. So between 2021, when we finished that workshop, till now, as individually, I have gained over $50,000 in grants. My current one is the University of Western Ontario grant for postdoc, and that's worth $25,000. And other ones I have done for Options Ghana, for other consultancy firms that I have also done here in Ghana, and also for some fellowship for research writing. And as part of groups together, I would say that we've been a member of a team that contributed to writing those grants. It should be grants that are worth close to 20,000 on its own. So I would say in total, my grant journey has started, writing grants winning started with my participation in the ASFI grant writing workshop. Apart from this ones that we are successful with, there are other ones that we have applied that we made it to the point of interviews. And that for me was great, because these are huge grants, very competitive ones. And it's not something that I think I would have been able to do if I didn't have the skills and all that it took, because prior to 2021, there had been similar grants that we had gone through, tried to apply as my institution, as an individual, that we never got any close to where we get to right now. But so I have come to realize and have come to learn that grant writing comes with skills, and it comes with skills that somebody must teach you, without which you will not be able to access. And to be able to get into those grant writing spaces requires continuous application and confidence, which is something you told us, and that's something that has stuck with me, that if you're rejected, one does not mean that's the end, that you have to keep writing. So for me, this has been my grant writing journey, and the last 2 years have been amazing ones. Currently, the last one that I have applied that we've been shortlisted was also worth $50,000 from an organization in the United States. And these are all informed by the skills that I believe that I acquired during my program at the ASFI grant writing workshop. So this is my journey with grant writing so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amanda Odoy, for that encouraging insight. Okay, let me go to the last person on this question, Dr. Uchechi Onyedekachi. Please unmute yourself, and then tell us your grant journey. When was the last one you had? From which organization and for what purpose? You need to unmute yourself. Yeah, I've given you the signal. You will see the prompt from your screen and unmute yourself there.
All right. Good evening, Prof.
Good
Good evening,
evening.
everyone. It's so good to be here this evening. Actually, my grant journey started last year. I started as a lecturer in Michael Opera University 2014. Then as I had my MSc at the University of Port Harcourt. But then I used to think grants were for, it was a white elephant ASFI, thanks to Professor Bright. I can remember applying for the Art of Scientific Writing and Publishing in 2022, and I was not chosen.
Dr. Onyedekachi, it looks like your line is not good.
And I wrote and thanks for his good heart, he admitted me in, and
All right, Dr. Onyedekachi is having issues with her line. Okay, let me go to Dr. Kiembati. You highlighted a journey of failures for several years before you made a breakthrough. I want to know, in those years you were writing but not succeeding. How did it feel like?
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. Certainly, it was quite disappointing because, as we know, grant writing is quite an intensive exercise. It is time-consuming. It requires a lot of commitment, energy, and time. And so it came with disappointment. However, when I wrote to the funding agencies to find out why they were not funding my my proposals, I think the disappointment turned out to be lessons for me. And I was able to pick a few things where I was making mistakes. For example, one of the things I learned I was not appropriately addressing was the issue of trying to understand what exactly the funding agency is looking for. Sometimes when the calls are sent out there, they are addressing various issues that the funding agency expects you to fit into your context and now make your proposal as unique as possible. So one of the lessons I picked was that it's very, very important to understand the call very well. For example, if a funding agency is asking you to generate knowledge on existing innovations and how they can be scaled up, you have to specifically address the issue of scaling up and not coming up with new innovations. So I realized reading and understanding exactly what the agency was looking for was so important. I also realized that team composition was so key. You have to ask yourself what will be the work packages in the call and whether you have people who can address various components of your projects that you're proposing. So team composition was so key, and the competencies of the skills of the person leading the project. So sometimes you, as the person also who is leading the project, you may have to make those difficult decisions if you do not have the specific skill that the funding agency is looking for, and give someone else to become the PI of the project. Of course, we all want to become principal investigators, but if you do not have that specific competence that they're looking for, it makes a lot of sense to ask someone else to lead so that you're able to win the call. And then also, Prof, I noted the issue that I was missing out, which was really, really a major lesson, and I think it has helped me moving forward, is the issue of quality reviewer. When you write your work, sometimes it's possible to write in your head or in your mind, but you haven't documented it on paper. If someone else, an independent person, reads your work, it's very easy for them to pick out some of the important issues that one may have left out. So for me, the issue of quality reviewer is so key, and it's one of the things that I've made sure I do as I progress. I always ask myself, who is the most appropriate person to review my work after I have written? And I usually ensure that that person is not part of the team, because of course, being part of the team influences the thinking. So it has to be someone independent. So those are some of the lessons I learned.
All right. So during the times you were not succeeding, but you kept on moving, and you mentioned that receiving comments from the funders helped you. Were there some times you were discouraged, you cried, you didn't want to do it again? Or I mean, I want to really understand the things you were thinking about, or did you just get into it that, well, this is the journey I have to face, I have to keep going? Or were there sometimes you actually wanted to give up doing this?
Yeah, thank you, Prof. The first two rejections, I did not exactly give up because my mentor had prepared me and told me it's usually a tough journey. So the first one, I was okay. The second one, I was okay. No, the third one, I started feeling like, no, I want to now stop writing this thing. It looks like it is impossible, or maybe it's for specific people, or perhaps it's something that is not wired, it is not meant for me. So after the second time, I felt like I wanted to give up. And actually, the whole of that third year, I never wrote any other proposal. And so my mentor called me again and asked me why I was not writing. So I said I had given up because it looked like, grants were not meant for me. So we ended the conversation over a cup of coffee. And he told me how he wrote his 21 proposals and none were funded. It is his 22nd proposal that was funded. And so after listening to his story, I started again. And then, of course, again, it was a tough journey. However, like I said, after that, now I learned my lessons and I started correcting mistakes that were there. And yes, after that, every year there's a grant at least that that is running. And at this point in time, I have 2 continental grants that are in the process. 2 of them have passed the first 2 stages, and they are continental grants, meaning they are addressing research across Africa. And so, yeah, it's out of those lessons of failing that are making me succeed today. And it is out of not giving up that I am succeeding today. So if there's anyone out there writing and you're receiving rejections, if you've not received 21, do not give up. Thank you, Prof.
All right. Let me go to Dr. Odoi, who has highlighted very impressive successes she has made. And she mentioned the failure she actually experienced. Amanda, I want to know, did the success wipe away your tears of the past?
yes, I think it gives you hope that whatever happens, there'll be success at the end. So for during the PhD phases when I wasn't getting my grants, because that was when I was starting to, I was always sad. And then failure makes you question your abilities. It can really have a huge mental health impact on you. You ask yourself, so what is wrong with me? Why can't I make it like other people make it? Why do I always get those rejection notices that we give it to somebody else? So when I started making it, it just quickens you and makes you know that, okay, now you are there. You can fit into this competitive world, especially as an academic, which is a requirement for grants winning as part of your career. It makes you know that, okay, you're going somewhere as an academic. So it has really wiped all the years of questioning your abilities and your credibility as a person. It's gone. Now I write it for fun. When a rejection comes, I tell myself it means that I can do better the next time around. And I guess it's also, I have learned to deal with this disappointments because of the course and what you told us, that rejection is normal. It comes and then we build on it. So now I go in as that there's a possibility that I will be rejected, but then I'm just pushing for the goal irrespective. So that is how far I think success can wipe away your sorrows, and as well as quicken you and toughen you and make you understand that you can still be in the journey.
Now, have you sometime gone back to those ones you didn't succeed to look at them again?
I started going back to those ones after I took the course, and I understood why I didn't get it. So I just realized with the lessons and the notes that she gave us, and then the issues, and then I just thought, okay, it wasn't like it was a rejection but just because I didn't have the abilities and what was required. Because I have come to realize after the course and these applications I've done, that understanding the core is very important. Understanding what is required is key. And I was approaching those grants as if I was writing a proposal as a student, as a graduate student who is writing a proposal without teasing out their skills. So you mentioned that there are certain keywords that have to show in the core and how you respond to them. All those things I realized were not reflective in the things I was submitting to. I basically was not in a competition. I was just submitting something for them to look at it. So that's what I have come to know, like with what I know now and where I am, and looking back to what I used to submit, I wasn't responding to a call, basically.
So you eventually realized that it wasn't the funder's problem. It was your problem.
Exactly. And that was mine,
All right.
although
All right. Okay. Let me go to Dr. Godoyan. She was quite passionate about her journey. I want to ask you your pre and post grant experience. That is your experience before you got the grant and your experience after you got the grant. Did they differ in any way? Did you compare them?
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. I want to share my experience before the grant. I've not actually applied for a grant before now, but I think I applied for a research fellowship program, which I was told to develop a proposal, and I couldn't do it right. So what I did was to kind of contact people in my department that have gone before me to see how the proposal, how they go about developing a fellowship proposal. And that was my first time of trying to see how I can develop a proposal. And I was really not satisfied with the people I met because I was not given exact thing, how to go about it. And so what I did was to kind of start going online, asking questions. How can I develop a fellowship proposal? How can I get a sponsor for a particular program? So this was my experience before I got the grant. And so when I got this grant, I actually have to look back to where I failed in the first one and make amends. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. The same question I ask Dr. Olani. your pre and post grant experiences. How do you see them?
Thank you, sir. Before the submission of my proposal at the departmental level, I was really refined. When I mean refined, that if I to recall, I wrote the proposal almost 20 times before the committee were able to satisfy with my proposal at departmental level. So all the time I was so depressed, I was so confused at times. Will I go SPL, especially abroad, to continue my program? And that one took me a lot of time, but with perseverance and encouragement from my main supervisor, that I stayed through. So because that one now taught me, because when they say that this one is not good, go and rewrite, I will go back to the drawing board. Okay, I will go and browse how people have been doing, what is the relationship. So from there, it was process of refining my mind towards the fact. Although I've been joining them in other as a research assistant in many other fields, but I know there should be a relationship between the theory and the empirical activities. This is the field work now. So it was not so easy, because when people along the line, I started writing articles for publication. At times they will reject the article outright, like that it's not where some people, they do the review of the article. They will say, okay, do this. From there, I will pack it. I go back to the drawing board to see how I can do it. At times I started networking, because that is what made me to be. I believe in so much in networking that, my friend, are you doing this type of activities? How can you approach this type of issue? From there, we harvest the information from there. So that networking has become part and parcel of me. So conceptualize research. All along with the challenges, nothing giving up has helped me. And so the post now, I must confess that he has overwritten the challenges I face. Because now I know that the competence has improved, although I still need to learn more. And I know the feasibility is getting to limelight step by step, because these are the challenges that I face, and we are now the stage of making ourselves visible to the world that, okay, we have this competency to deliver. And normally in the post research grant, that boosts my courage that, no, when the talk is getting, when the going is getting tough, you yourself must be tough along with it, so that you'll be able to overcome the challenges. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, to you, Dr. Onyedikachi. Your experience before getting your grant, and then when you have received the grant, how did they differ or compare?
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Sorry, the network cut me off the other time. Before I got the grant, there was this feeling of anxiousness, like I was losing my self-worth or my validity, as it were, because I was thinking, is it that I cannot get this grant? Are there specific persons that are chosen? But afterwards, when I got the the TED Fund grants, that's the institutional-based fund that is granted by TED Fund in Nigeria, wow, a feeling of excitement came. I got my self-confidence again. And thanks to all the tips and tricks I've been getting on ASFI platform, thanks to Professor Bright, it was really helpful. And then the art of scientific writing, that helped me learn how to do my literature review. Because for you to get a very good proposal, I found that you need to review what others have done, and then research starts from what others have done, and I continued there. And in fact, I was the principal investigator for the one I won. And wow, it's something nobody has tried. Some of my mates at work, most of them have not tried that. I think I have an edge right now.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Let me, on this round now, let me start with you, Dr. Otoye. Where are you? Okay, I see you here. I want to really know from you the grant you have received so far. What have they done to your career, to your research, to your self-confidence, in being an academic, being a scientist? What has it done to you?
I will start with the confidence bit. I think that as I mentioned earlier, at first I used to question my abilities, but now much more I'm confident, because every time it goes and it comes back with a positive response, even when you don't get it, the feedback that is a strong document gives you the confidence that you can survive in academia, especially when we rely on grants for funding our research and all that. So for me, it's quickened me as an academic. My journey as a scientist, it's contributed to the kind of data I have access to. So the publications, because you need to pay field assistants to do transcription for you. So I do more of qualitative studies. So you need to fund some of these, and so you need to pay for people to go to the field for you. So it's enhanced my activities and taken off some of the load. Things you would have had to pay with your own money, or you just have to spend the time doing. What it has also helped is enhancing my teaching, because then the research we have feeds our teaching, and then as well as
He's having some challenge with the network.
So it's enhanced my teaching and advocacy activities as well. So the data I have is what I use for advocacy activities. One key thing that comes with research grants is also networks, because sometimes you need to apply with other people. So it's expanded my network to other spaces. I mentioned earlier that there's a grant we've been shortlisted for. The team is from we have a team from the United States, we have this from Ghana and other places. So it expands your network and your ability to engage with other people. It has also helped with my learning, because each grant that you apply comes with a different skill, a different expectation. So it makes you quicker and faster and understand new and emerging things in the field. That's what I've also realized, because each call comes in is unique, but the questions they're asking and information they are requiring directs you as an academic to the emerging issues that are coming up in your field and how you can engage them in all your activities. So these have been some of the benefits that I have gained so far from it.
Great. Okay, Dr. Kembati, I come to you. You have had several grants now, but before that, you gave narration of several attempts. And I'm just wondering, the fight for money as an academic, how important is having grants for you to succeed, Dr. Cambian?
Thank you so much, Prof. For me, receiving a grant was so key, first of all, personally to me, and then to my career. So let me start with my personal benefits. One, since I started as a full-time researcher, it was always my desire to connect my research to policy space. Of course, without a funding, sometimes it's possible to fund your own research, which of course you taught us that sometimes it's unethical to fund our own research, but there are so many limitations. But when you have a funding, there's quite a lot that you can do. And so for me, receiving funding allowed me space to engage policy actors in my research, in other ones to undertake policy-informed research. where I was able to take my credible, compelling, and convincing evidence from my research to inform policy through policy briefs and policy notes, and through engaging policy actors throughout my research project. And it was so amazing to see how we researchers think on this end and what policy actors think on the other end. And it was really, really a nice experience for the two of us to have a meeting point and learn lessons from each other. The second issue personally, prior to coming to my career, I had always wanted to have a platform to connect early career researchers and experienced researchers so that we can learn from each other, so that we can transfer knowledge, so that we know we have people who can support us in our next project. So for me, winning grants gave me a platform to be able to connect the two in the same platform. And it was amazing to see how much learning took place from experienced and even the non-experienced, because even the experienced researchers, there's always something to learn. So for me personally, that was like a personal desire that was fulfilled. Then when it comes to my career, I mean, winning grants was quite critical for me career-wise, because for us, it's a requirement to attract grants. And also it comes with some level of respect when you win grants, because it allows you now to carry out a major research that produces evidence that has tangible innovations. You can test your innovations. Like for me in social sciences, testing social innovations was quite something for us and for my colleagues, and even in my department. And so, yeah, it really, really helped me in my career and also in my growth, in mentoring other people in my department, in forming community labs to help us address community issues that are affecting people, and especially around the community around my university. So yeah, it really helped me.
All right. Thank you.
And
Thank you very much. Yeah, you have more point on that? Please go ahead.
yes. I was speaking to the issue of competencies. Winning a grant is one thing, Prof. Executing it is a different thing. Sometimes when you're writing a grant, you document activities to undertake, and your thinking is quite a smooth kind of a flow. However, when you start doing the real execution, there are lessons to learn. And when you execute one project, there are always those lessons or a few things that we skip that informs the next project. So for me, it's been quite a good experience picking lessons, a few things perhaps that you omit in one project, but informs the next project. So competencies and strengthening our capacity is something that project has done to me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you love what is going on here. I'm really enjoying it. Please be getting ready to make your voice known. We'll open the floor as time comes, but please start putting your thoughts together. And just to highlight, I will come back to this. Today, we are looking at a topic we call grant delight, what it is like to win a grant. In our August edition, we'll be looking at what it feels to fail in grant, what it feels, lessons to learn. The goal of all this is to encourage ourselves as people, so that we can become better. So if you have a story you would like to share with us, you have applied, you didn't get, we'll have a number of colleagues who have sent in requests to join that panelist. Please let us know so that we can include you. And we'll be glad if you can do it before the end of the week we are into now. That is before the 4th of August. Write us. My colleagues will put the email address on the chat box if you have a grant story that has led to non-success or near success. Please share with us. We would like to engage to discuss these issues to encourage ourselves. Okay, Let me go to you, Dr. Odoyin. Now you have won this grant. How has it affected your career, your research, your self-confidence as a scientist? Yes, please. Please unmute yourself. Dr. Odoyin, unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Having a grant for me, it has actually increases my visibility globally. It has also added value to my career, and it has created employment for me because for 2 years, I acted as a research assistant in my department. I have never gotten the kind of money I have gotten through grants. Collaboration had been the key things. I have gotten in contact with so many people in research. And from the time I got this grant, I just want to share my testimony, the current job I had this job because in my CV, they saw that I got a grant and they were impressed about it. And a question actually came during the interview. What can you bring on board to this organization? From your CV, we saw that you got a grant. I said, yes. So this has actually showcased me. In fact, from the time I got this grant, there hadn't been any proposal I submit that I've not gotten. As I speak with you, I just received a traveling grant for a conference presentation on Thursday. It has been faithful. God has been faithful because I never expected that from the little grant that I got, I could go this far. So in essence, the grants have really showcased me to the global world. It has added value to my career and it has created employment for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. And it's fantastic to hear that there is a door that is opened when you get one. The door that is open. All right, Dr. Olayini, how has it affected your career, your self-confidence, and then your research?
Thank you, Prof. Honestly, the grant has even increased my level of confidence to higher degree. That is, there is something in me that is beckoning on peak, in which I have started. When I mean peak, there is higher level that I can still attain in my career, and that gives me a foundational confidence that if I don't discourage, the future is bright. And at the same time, it's one of the things that has been helping me in moving with the ASFI, because now ASFI training has been adding more value to my career. I think in the last two months now, I have additional knowledge in the research quality and responsibility. I have just finished on the data analysis and many other things, in which I've been doing it on my personal level, and it has not been so because self-mentoring or self-development is not easy. You write and fall, but I can see somebody that can guide me in many things. Another thing is that coming to the I have a lot of people that, okay, can we do this thing together? In the last, the first one, the class I've done, group 4. Some people that have never seen up to this moment, we are speaking, we have never seen them, but yeah, somebody was you see in Ibadan, in Nigeria here, that, okay, can we further this topic we have done in another dimension? Somebody from the Kent University has called me, okay, this is my area, I'm working on this area, what can we do together? So it has been a kind of bringing me to more limelight, meeting people, and creating more level of international confidence that, okay, we can still do it. And honestly, that one is kind of starting my potential, that the future is bright. I can still make it better. than
All right. All right. Thank you very much. That's great. Okay. I come to you, Dr. Onyedikachi. How has it been for you? Your confidence as a scientist, your career, your research. Do you really think that you need money to succeed?
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Since I received the IBR grant, my confidence level has increased. And it's really important that you get financial support, especially in this part of Africa, okay, to run groundbreaking research. Sometimes in research, you know what to do, but because you don't really have the finance to do it, you see yourself trying to cut corners and you're not able to even pay people that can help you. And then with the financial support, you see that you're able to do it freely. And then apart from that, it has increased my research opportunities. Okay, because I was very motivated and then my confidence level increased. I was able to apply for the last NAS, that's Nigerian Academy of Science mentorship, and I was selected. Wow, I was selected, and that has also increased my connectivity, career advancement. A lot of things has happened to my career since I got that grant. It has a way of changing your visibility, even your publication sense. Then you start hearing from people who are doing good, because likes beget likes. And then when you now start seeing people who are always winning grants, you now try to follow their footsteps, and that's the part of a mentorship. I now have a mentor who I look up to that I was not doing earlier in my career. I'm telling you not here that mentorship has a lot to do to your career, and that's what ASFI has offered me. Always listening to Professor Bright, relating with all the officials of ASFI, has trained me on discipline, time management. A lot of things has changed, Prof.
Great.
I don't know if I should have more time to continue. Yes, you have this record. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you can see all of them agree that money is important, not only for business, but for research. It can change a lot of things around you. All right. I will go back to Dr. Odoye. You mentioned that you went back to what you had written before and you discovered that you were not actually responding to what. And then you mentioned that at the time after you had a training, then things started changing for you. I want you to reflect on the importance of skills. Why do you need skills to be successful in grant writing?
It gives you a head start. I think for me, having the skills gives you a head start. Most often we actually think, because I'm using my background as an academic, so because we do proposal, right, we write papers, we think we have an understanding of what it takes to respond to proposals and all that. But from the studies, I realized that it comes with skills. First skill is understanding what you need to respond to and how you need to respond it. Without that skill, I believe that there's no way you're going to even make the shortcut. What I also realized is that most often when we see the call, we actually tend to think that what the call is requesting for is what the paper we have or the soft copy. But from the training we had, I realized that you need to go a step further to go into the system to see if there are any requirements that are in there. That's something I never paid attention to. Continuously, we formed groups, and every time I'm the one that tells them, can we go into the call grants, open up and see if there are any requests. Sometimes you go in there and they have a template. By the time you realize what you would have responded to does not tally in any way. So I believe that this skills gives you a head start. It gives you a head start ahead of every other person that has not got an understanding. Your knowledge about the subject area is not enough. The understanding of how to respond to these calls, what information you put there, is what makes a grant, and not your knowledge in a field. Anybody at all that is in your field can put it there, but the skills to respond to what they want and how they want you to produce it is something that comes with somebody teaching you. So I have come to know that mentorship is a skill that you need in grant writing. Is an asset, is a resource, is a skill, because Kellen started earlier and said that you give it to somebody else to read. If you don't have that skill of calling on somebody to give you a second eye, you may also overconfidence and you might make mistakes. So these skills come in different ways, but that's what gives you a head start. That's what gives you the ability to engage the grant terrain space, and also gives you the kind of results that you require to be able to make it through the application and acceptance phase. Even how you respond to the calls and the messages, that the communication that you have with the grants calls, the authors, and then because you mentioned like even how to follow up on what the issue is. I have come to know that the language you even use in initiating the conversation is very important. So these are skills that ordinarily you will not have. You think, okay, this is an ordinary email that you're making a request and all that. But after the training, I realized that these are things that we ordinarily do not pay attention to, but are skills that are very important if you want to win a grant.
All right. Thank you. Well, let me support Dr. Doi here, colleagues. One thing is that it's a mistake to think that when you publish a paper, you can write grant. When you write a thesis, you can write grant, but they are different things. The mindset is different. In grant, you're dealing with people who have money to give. The language of grant is money. It's not publishing, it's money. And this money is being competed by hundreds, if not thousands of people. They still want to get that money you want to get. So it is a very stiff competition. It's a very stiff competition. So if you make the assumption that, well, I have published this number of papers, that is not grant writing. Grant writing has its own language, it has its own motivation, it has its own landscape, it has its own rules. Okay, and then you have to understand how to play that game. Because the person who owns the money does not know you, has not seen your face. During the grant writing course of ASFI, I wish I did tell this story. When I started my doctoral degree, we have fellowship who apply. And I had this colleague from Bangladesh where he was a senior colleague. And when I got there, he said he was not writing grant anymore because all he has written, he has not succeeded. And he said, Bright, these people don't like my face. But the fact is that they have never seen his face, okay? So it's not a matter of how your face is looking. It's a decision they want to make on whether they can give you their money. Can they trust you with their money? So it's important. So what Dr. Odo is saying here is that you need the skills of grant writing to succeed. All right. So perhaps you have been writing like Dr. Kiambati was narrating, she has written several. You have been writing, perhaps you have not actually been writing the grant. You have not been writing grant to succeed. So it requires quite a lot of skills. But I will take that further with you, Dr. Kiambati. You have attended several ASFI trainings and you have attended the grant writing course. How did that training contribute to your success in any way?
Thank you so much, Prof. I must say, like I indicated at the start of the discussion, after my grant writing training, that is when I started winning grants. And perhaps I can share 5 major lessons. Actually, I wrote them on my notebook when you trained us, and later on, I typed them and kept them on my study table. So every time I'm writing proposals, I pick them to ensure that I comply. There are 5 major things that you taught us that really, really helped us, or rather helped me to win my grants. One, I remember you insisted that when we are writing proposals, any reviewer reviewing our proposal, the first question they ask themselves is If you're writing a 3 or 5 year project, the first question reviewers ask themselves, what do we expect to see at the end of 3 to 5 years when the project is over? So I make sure I answer that question in a very, very clear way when I'm writing my proposal. If it is a 3-year proposal, I ensure that I show the practical and scientific result of my project so that a reviewer is not asking questions because I'm not there to respond. It's my proposal that should respond to that particular question. So that is point number 1. The second thing that you taught us that I have continued to apply, you told us that every time we are writing a proposal, we must ask ourselves, what other similar projects as the funding agency we are seeking funds from, what have they funded? Because that way you are able to pick the pattern of what they fund and what they do not fund. So for me, the first thing I check when I receive a call for proposals is to check, other than what they're asking for proposals, what have they funded previously and what have they not? And for me to find the answer to the question, what have they not? I usually check the section called frequently asked questions. That's an extremely important section to check when you're responding to calls because you're able to answer the questions that perhaps are not so clear to the documents that you're reading. And most important also, you taught us that we must ask ourselves what innovative solution is our project presenting? Because for someone to entrust with their money, they want to be sure you're not having what you call coffee house conversation in your proposal. So I have to ask myself, what innovation solution is my proposal proposing? Am I the first person to do that? Are there innovations related to that? Or there already exist solutions? Because if there exist solutions to what you're proposing, no funder is going to fund you. So you taught us that, and I usually make sure I do that. The second last thing I usually check, you taught us that every time we write a proposal, we must ensure we have a checklist. So you check and see you have complied with everything, because you taught us that reviewers, first of all, they subject our proposals to a checklist. If you're missing even one particular item, they will just push us aside your proposal. So I make sure I have a checklist to ensure that I have all the minimum requirements so that my proposal can pass to the second screening. And then finally, you taught us the issue of being consistent with our key concept. And clearly you told us that our key concepts must be part of our topic, part of our problem, and part of our research questions. Meaning, if your key concept is only seen perhaps around your topic, however, when people read the other parts of your proposal, the key concept is lost, then the reviewer will say you're confused and you're not very sure of what your project is looking to address. So for me, those 5 things from the training you took us through, Prof, have really helped me. And I think I can attribute that to major successes that I have made in grant winning. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Dr. Odoye, I'll come back to you because I know you have also had several grants since you attended the ASFI training. What will you say specifically that training contributed to your journey?
Everything. I'd say everything. So understanding what is required for grant writing, the attitude that you need to approach grant writing with, and how to carry yourself beyond the grant writing phase are the 3 key things I left that training with. So the understanding, it's this what you taught us is that we need to know what they are asking, and said, what are they asking for, and what are you giving them? Also is, where do I go to find the information that is required? For me, it has been a key thing because every time the call has come, you respond, and sometimes by the time you go into the system, I remember you told us that you need to go into the system to find out what information is there before you start writing. And most often we see the call and we start responding to it, but then there's a recent one we responded to after the team had put everything together, I was brought on late. So I asked them if they had gone into the system. When we got into the system, there were 2 key things they were requested, but they had a template in mind already that they wanted to use in response to the call. So by the time we came back to that template, everything we had to put together was wrong because the questions that they were asking us were different. Second, in the system was the fact that they had meeting days where they wanted to meet potential applicants to discuss the things that the call was asking for. And we missed those days because nobody went into the system ahead of time. And so it means that whoever was in that training had a head start over us because they had gone into the meetings to understand what the call was requesting for and all that. So understanding what, like you said, that grant writing is a game. So what game are they? What's the game? What are the rules of the game is important. And that's the understanding and appreciating it. And then what attitude are you going to the grant writing with? Do you feel that you know everything, you're overly confident? One thing you told us that clarity is important because so many people are applying and you need to be clear at each phase what information you're putting out there because you don't have time to read everything. So what attitude are you is what I think has helped me, that my responses are brief and clear and straight to the point. So most often when you get the feedback, even if you don't get, is the fact that they like the idea and the clarity with which you come to the program with. And also partnerships that you form. One thing I have come to realize from this grant writing is the fact that sometimes you think you have all the skills, but then you're not the only person they're looking for. They are calling for partnerships all over. So if you go in alone thinking that because I have the requirement, then it's a problem. So the attitude you're approaching with, and then beyond the application phase, whilst you are waiting for them, what is it that you do? If you don't get it, how is it that you approach it and move on? Are the things that I believe have been critical in my grant writing and also the success, because each core comes with a different skills, but then the more you build on it, the width with which you write, the clarity and all that, it makes it easy. And then you told us that we learn from each core and build on it. And I've also realized that it's important. Sometimes the core comes and you know that, okay, I wrote this and it's similar. So you just go and look at the outline and say, okay, this is what I have to add with it. So it reduces the stress and the time you spend in responding to other calls. So these are the things I learned from the grant writing workshop that have been very critical to the successes I think I have made so far.
All right, just to follow up on that. So for those who are listening to you this evening and have not attended the ASFI grant writing course, what would you tell them?
You can't afford to miss it. Actually, after I participated in your grant writing workshop, there are numbers that have come up in my university, and anytime we go and they are raising issues and I'm talking, people go like, it looks as if we are an expert in grant writing. And I sit there and I laugh because a number of the things you taught us and how you take your time do not come up in other grant writing workshops you will go to. So if anybody wants to participate, at least for the basis and as a starter, you cannot afford to miss ASFI grant writing workshop. It gives you the skill that you require throughout. Any other one that you will visit again and want to learn from it is a build on, or it's just a reminder, a revision of what you have already learned here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, to add to what Dr. Odayo was saying, the first day of the course, we usually spend time. We have a topic we call Know the Funder. Know the Funder. In fact, as she's saying, some already failed in the grant because they did not know who the funder is. So we have specific exercises we do to know the funder. In fact, that is a research on its own, and we distribute people into different funders to go and investigate who are they, what do they fund, what are they asking for, how much do they fund, what is the deadline, who are the reviewers. You need to know this to catch them. You need to catch them in their game, because this is money. This is not your paper is sent to reviewers and then they review, they send you comments. It's either you get it or you don't get it. And this is the game that is played. Well, I will encourage you. I'm not advertising ASFI grant writing course, but I want you to attend it. Really, it will change a lot about what you are doing for the next time that we are going to announce. And I will go to Dr. Odoyen, who is the next person who has attended the grant writing course. Tell us briefly, what impact did it make on your success?
All right, thank you, Prof. I've actually attended 2 training before I got my grant.
But,
one was this.
Yeah, but I want you to focus on the grant writing one.
Okay. Yes, I'm actually talking on the grant writing one. There are 3 things that I actually learned in this grant writing that helped me in my grant success story. One is that we are taught that we have to make sure that whatever we are proposing should not go out of context. It must be in line with the core objective. Secondly, we also learned that we should make sure that the topic we are proposing is catchy, to make sure that the reviewers, what they see, is catchy to them. The topic is catchy, and somebody is able to quickly understand what you are actually talking about. And then the third thing that I learned there is to make sure that you make an early submission, not submitting your proposal almost at the closing time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. I will come. The last questions I will ask to Dr. Olani and Dr. Onyedikachi. Dr. Olani, I come to you. With the journey you have had, there are some colleagues amongst us who are still in that journey of failure, have not been able to succeed. What would be your message or encouragement to them?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Well, generally, what I will advise is that they should get their vision clear. They should get their vision clear, because the vision will set their activity in motion. Because I must tell you that it is my undergraduate, that is where I have the vision of becoming a researcher and a lecturer, encouraging youth to come on board. And that one has helped me in the right steps to right direction. Because research is not all about money. It's about impact. Impact to your immediate community, impact to the generation to come, and impact to the society at large. So they must get their vision clear. 2, they must associate with people that have passion for their vision, because life begets life. Let me tell you, in Nigeria academic circle today, especially among my learned colleagues, majority don't have the passion. When we are talking about research, they just believe that it's only writing paper and get article and get promotion. It is your passion. Most of the time when I have in contact with Professor, I always appreciate his passion, because it's the passion that is driving you to write this type of program for him to continue. And I can't see him getting tired, because it's his vision. So that is number one for anybody who wants to come into research. It's not all about money. It's getting your impact. Another thing that in research, I love learning new things and teaching new things, because that is the research for you. Every moment there is need for you to learn, and there is need for you to teach. So if you have mind of learning and teaching, you are welcome on board. Another thing is that you should not be so narrow in your mindset, because where your own knowledge ends, that's where somebody's knowledge begins. So you should open up for gaining knowledge every moment. So, and another thing that I want to see is that is the issue, especially in Nigeria today, don't be discouraged about the facilities. That things are not working today does not mean. And some of us are my colleagues that are interacting at the platform of ASFI. Personally, I have a serious challenge here because of the environment now. The network is not available. The light is not available. But don't be discouraged. Continue moving on and get how to get your resources to get what you need in the long run, and we are going to get at the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's a good point. Please don't be discouraged, he says. All right, Dr. Onyedikachi. What words do you have for those who are still in the process of trying and trying, but have not succeeded yet?
Thank you very much, Prof. My advice to people who've been trying, have not gotten is first, don't be discouraged, just be motivated. And I think one program that will help you is joining ASFI. Every researcher needs a mentorship program, and you get that in ASFI. Like I said earlier, it's helped me to build my confidence and then my validity as a researcher. Last time when I joined the QPI, that's Quality, Productivity, and Impact training, I learned a lot. There was something Prof said, he said you should see your end from the beginning of your research. And that tells me about your expected outcome. And that will even help you in your grant writing. And not just that, even in your other research writing, like your publication, it helps you to mirror, okay, what's the essence of this, my research? What's the essence of this, my grants? And that will help you to get it at the long run. And then most importantly, I learned time management. Most times we try to apply for calls at the end of the call, maybe on deadlines, and that will make you to just send anything. And just like what Dr. Udoyen said, she said earlier, she was just sending to them to read through, and all you'll be getting is rejection. So you just have to take your time and learn what the call is all about and to really help. Then find the second eye. You need somebody to look at what you've done to see if there are mistakes. Sometimes you might be overconfident, not knowing that you're not really towing the right path. And then make sure your objectives are SMART. They are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And then what I learned from Professor Bright is multitask. I asked Dr. Ajibola, I know she's here, I asked her one time, I said, how do you manage your time? And she told me, just like Professor Bright, he once told us during the QPI training that if you work in his lab, that you have to have that strength, you have to multitask. And that has really changed my vision at workspace. I can do ASFI, I can do many other things. I can apply for grants. Because if you want to face only one aspect in research and in lecturing, like in the Nigerian University, like the place where I lecture, you can just focus on just doing lecturing, teaching your students, just going to work and coming back without achieving anything, and nobody knows what you're doing. I cannot really get anything at the end. So you need to learn how to multitask, and I learned that here. I advise everyone to join ASFI, and you will not regret it. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, our able panelists, ladies and gentlemen. I think this has been very engaging discussion, passionate, and also emotional, because grant writing comes with some emotion. You can see some of our panelists did not disclose how much they cried, how many cups their tears filled, but I tell you, they did that. Yeah, it will come with that. But it's grant writing is a journey, and where we are bringing this as the first edition in this half year is to let you know there is always a joy at the end when you persist. There is joy, and as Dr. Odoye mentioned, her tears, her failures were wiped away. She couldn't remember them again. And one thing with grant writing is that success births success. And Dr. Odoyen mentioned that once you start getting, then you don't stop getting. You will build on that. So it's a journey, and I will encourage us to devote our time to do that. So I am very grateful to our panelists, Dr. Kellen Kiambati joining us from the city of Nairobi in Kenya, Dr. Grace Udoyen from Nigeria, Dr. Zacchaeus Oluwafemi from Nigeria, Dr. Amanda Odoye from Ghana, and Dr. Uchechi Onyedikachi from Ghana. We are grateful for the time you have put into this to give us your story of your grant journey. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if there is, you can take a couple of comments. If there is any comment or questions, please just raise your hand or call, we'll unmute for you. Okay, I have James Arthur Tachi. Yes, James, you can unmute yourself and speak, please.
Prof, thank you very much for such an opportunity and experience. But I have loved the discussion. But the one thing I want to ask that our panelists couldn't really, maybe they didn't touch on that. After receiving the grant, I would want to know the monitoring aspect from the funders, the monitoring, the evaluation, the kind of arrangement that they will put in place for you to see if really what you have received has been used for the purpose or expected purpose. So I would be happy if the panelists can help me on that.
Yeah, so James, then of course this was not our focus for this evening, but I think if you come to the grant training, you will get more information on that. Just to let you know, usually when the funders give you grant, they will usually give you terms of reference, how the grant execution reporting process is handled, and every funder has its own template of how that is done. Sometimes they ask you for 3 months report, 6 months, depending on the length of the grant. Sometimes it may be yearly, and once they ask for that, they will also give you outline of what they want you to submit. Sometimes in my experience, they will ask for papers published, the project, where it is, the budget, how much you have spent, how much is left, the personnel that have been recruited into the project, and so on and so forth. It may also include abstracts submitted and presented in scientific meetings. So, and I think this is part of what I mentioned, that once we get into the course, we use the first day to look at knowing the funder, and these are some of the things we explore to really understand who the funder is and what they are interested in. All right, I have Nelson Kuboy. Nelson, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bright. Thank you, colleagues, and all the panelists for bringing up this important topic. I think for us that we are starting this journey was very good, so that we learn a lot from others that they are in this journey. So I have a question. I understood what they explain about the experience, their journey, but I don't know if I missed something. I didn't hear about the role of the CV of the researcher. I don't know if it's something that is very important, because here I heard mostly talking about the process of writing the grant, just writing good grants and you get it, good proposal, you get it. So I would like to know the role of the CV of the researcher. And I would like to hear as well, example, the institution that the researcher comes from. Does it play a role in the grant winning or not? Or is something that is just you? Thank
Well,
you.
yeah, I think Nelson has also answered to James. These are some of the things we elaborate in the grant writing course. But just to mention that, yes, your profile is important because the funders would want to trust the money to somebody who can use that money. And so what you have done in the past is taken into account. But you have to know that there are different types of grants. There are career development grants, for instance. They want to give to junior researchers or researchers who do not have experience. And then you have some project grants that are dedicated to people who have had, who are senior in the research cadre. So it depends on the type of grant, but yes, your CV plays a role. Your institution also plays a role because if funders have given funding to people from certain institutions and the institution has not executed such funding properly, then the funders will be hesitant to give more money. But beyond your CV and the institution, the project is critical, what you want to do. Your CV and your institution alone cannot give you the grant. It is primarily the project, and then the other things can be taken into account because it is a competition. Several factors are taken into account to decide those who get the money. So yeah, but if you want to get more about this, I think the grant writing course will offer you more elaboration beyond what has been discussed this evening. All right, finally, let me go to Marion Kenama. Marion, okay, please unmute. Marion, yeah, please.
Thank you, thank you,
Go
thank you, Dr. Anwaru, and all the panelists. That was excellent. Thank you for putting this edition together. My question is, do the grantors take into consideration or cater for the tax element of the money that they give? The reason I'm asking is, like in Kenya right now, if I receive anything like funding from out there, I will be taxed for it. I don't know what Dr. Kellen's, sorry. I don't know what Dr. Kellen's experience is. Yeah, tax element is the question.
Yeah, I think this depends on the funder. It also depends on the country. And that is one of the things we also explore during knowing the funder. So there is no general advice here. I think what you should do is to understand how the funder operate and what rules are available in each country and related to each grant. I have received some grants that are not taxable. All right, because the government's agreement is that if the grant is below certain threshold, then it should not be taxed. Sometimes it is when it goes beyond certain threshold. That is one. Then two is that in this part of the world, most grants go through the institution. And it is the institution that executes the grant, so gives you the money. So when you recruit people, then the tax is implemented within the grant. So their salary is paid and tax is paid from there to the government. But I will advise that you know what operates in the within the funder and then what is operating in the country. I think then you can clarify that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to draw the curtain on the discussion here, and we can close. by looking at various announcements we will have here. It has been a wonderful evening, and I must thank the panelists again. Our 8th edition is Grant Pain, dealing with rejection, despair, and the way forward. I don't know what your story is. I don't know where you are. Please join us on the 27th of August so that we can look at share experiences as well. I can see some of you who have posted on the chat box of your experiences. You have written several, you have not one. Please get in touch with us. We want to hear your story. And I am sure that you like what you have heard this evening. You have heard the encouragement. Please don't keep your story. Share it with us, and we will include you in the next edition. Please, and I've mentioned, do that before the 4th of August so that we can put you in the program. I just want to also mention that the first annual ASFI virtual multidisciplinary conference and bootcamp is coming up on the 28th to 30th of November. And we have sent out the call for abstract. Yeah, abstracts are coming in, but we want more and more. Please send information to your colleagues, invite your friends, invite everyone to join this program. We have assembled very, very good keynote speakers and personalities to be with us during this conference, and it will not be best that we miss you. So please send in your abstract. The abstract submission ends 31st of August. So submit that, and this includes every field, because it is a multidisciplinary conference. So no field is excluded. And that includes whether you have completed project, ongoing project, published project, send them in. We want to hear your research project. And then also the registration for this conference is opened. The information has been sent out. So please register. We have early bird registration, which has discounted registration fee, and that ends on the 30th of September. Please register and join us and invite your colleagues there. The next tips and tricks 19th edition will be coming this last Friday of this month, last Friday of August, and that is on the 25th of August. Somebody asked this question about CVs, and so we'll be dealing with cover letters and how to address yourself. CVs, references in career, creating a lasting impression. We have just announced, if you're interested in a refresher on Rayan and meta-analysis with SPSS, please join us on the 23rd of September. The information has been sent out, a link to register your interest. Please do that. The deadline to register is 31st of August. I hope you will join us. Now, I see many of you asking, when is the next grant writing course? Yeah, we have planned it, and it will be running on Saturdays, 5 to 8 p.m. GMT, starting from 14th October. Information on application will be released soon. So watch out the space and apply to join us. All right, I think we are ending exactly in time. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Now you can unmute yourself, and I wish you a very wonderful week ahead. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Professor.
Thanks, Prof, and we wish you a blessed week ahead too.
Thank you very much.
Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Signing
It
off.
was a great
Thank
session.
you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you. Good
Good
night.
Good night, Prof.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night. I appreciate you, Prof. Always.
Good night.